Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Welcome to ISKCON Sydney Temple.
Thank you. It's wonderful to be here.
It's absolutely wonderful to have you here to start the new year with your presence amongst us. It's like Vrindavan has just come into our temple. We're so happy to have you here. Over the years, for the last 10, 11 years, I have come to Vrindavan and I always see you there. I always see you sitting under the Tamla tree in the Krishna Balram temple. And this is the first time I've seen you outside of Vrindavan here. And my first thought was, how does it feel? How do you feel? Was it difficult to travel such a long distance, to be with us, to leave the holy place that's so dear to you?
Well, I don't notice that I'm outside of Vrindavan because every day we're talking about Vrindavan, morning and mostly morning and evening, if not this evening time, every time we go to Vrindavan. But yes, now with age, traveling is taking its toll. Now I fully appreciate what trouble Prabhupada went to, because I just crossed 69 and he crossed 70 when he started his travels. So we fully appreciate it. I mean, I'm amazed. Prabhupada would go, I watched him come off the plane, come to the temple and give a lecture, and I have to come off the plane and go to sleep.
Yes, it is arduous task traveling those distances.
But it's wonderful to meet devotees all over the world and do Hari Katha and Hari Kirtan everywhere throughout the world.
Yes. And
spread Vrindavan Bhav.
What was the trigger point for you to make, in your life, to make Vrindavan the place where you want to?
I don't know. I first went to Vrindavan in 1974 and I fell in love with the place somehow or another. Both Vrindavan and Mayapur, I felt completely at home. But I loved somehow. Guru Das was the first person that we met in Vrindavan. He took us on Prikrama and told the stories, and I'm a natural storyteller, so telling stories about Krishna was right up my alley. And I loved how he took us on Prikrama. He was my first Prikrama guru. Later, Padmalochan Prabhu inspired me like anything. And of course, Dhruva Maharaj also. And somehow it just became my life. In 1984, I got the chance to, because I was always a temple president or something, I had some important service that I couldn't irresponsibly leave. But somehow in 84, circumstances happened that I could stay. And so I stayed and just been there ever since.
Yes. And over the years, you've spent so much time narrating the pastimes of the Lord in the Holy Dham with visitors. You have special programs that you run. Can you tell us a little bit about?
Well, for me, sometimes people say, doesn't it get old? But when I take people on Prikrama, many of them are seeing these places for the same thing. And by seeing their reaction, I remember how I saw it the first time. So I relive all of these pastimes with the devotees.
That's amazing, yes. I believe you do a night parikrama once a year during, is it?
Well, I used to do it, that was Govardhan Prikrama,
yes.
And more than once a year. But now my legs and my belly don't allow me to do that anymore.
And was it?
Still they do it. Janardhan Maharaj or somebody takes the devotees, and midnight Prikrama of Govardhan is very enchanting.
Yes. Yes, it is, yes.
I miss it like anything.
Of course.
The best part, during Kartik we would do it, and we come to Govindakund, and we'd have everyone offer lamps to Govardhan itself in Kartik while we're singing Damodar prayers.
Yeah.
That was always a highlight.
Amazing experience. Yes. Was it all these experiences that got you to compile into a book?
Well, everyone's always been bothering me for, why don't you write all these things down? So then I always figured, let me do some research for 10 years and I'll start writing. So now we've started writing and compiling. Most is from Goswami literature, some things we take from the Brishbasis, and some things we've heard from other senior devotees.
I read the part 1 of Raja Leela, and I was just amazed. There were so many pastimes there. Every page is drenched with pastimes, and I haven't heard so many of those pastimes. It was so special, so intimate, and so easily so easy to understand, and so easy to share some of those pastimes with others
Yeah.
as well. What was the motivation behind having that kind of language, that kind of simplicity to narrate?
I don't know, that's just the talent that Krishna gave me, was to speak. People used to tell, even before I was a devotee, people said, you don't tell stories, you tell movies. So I just dovetailed that talent with Krishna consciousness.
Yeah.
And now after Braj Leela Part 1, we finally came out with Braj Leela Part 2. There's about 250 pages of nectar and 12 color pictures, some of them very rare. And it's actually just transcriptions of lectures that I've given, so it's not formal writing, but the way I talk, that's the way the book is.
So it's like you're talking to us.
Yeah.
Yes. Out of, there's so many pastimes in this book, and when I was reading part 1 also, I was thinking, what would Prabhuji's most favorite pastime be in these books? So in part 2, if you could pick one pastime that is so dear to you that you feel like sharing over and over again, I know it's a difficult one, which one would that be?
Probably the first chapter of part 2 is all about Javat.
Yes.
And my favorite Leela is about Radharani being bitten by a snake.
Could you tell us that pastime?
Well, that would take your whole tape. But the gist is that Jatila decided that Radharani can't go out of the house because everyone's talking about her and some other man named Krishna. So she's stuck in the house, but everyone knows that Radharani cooks for Krishna, and by the power of the benediction of Duras Rishi, Krishna doesn't get any disease. So they say then that Krishna, she will have to stay in Javan and cook and send it with Dhanista, Mother Yasoda's servant girl. So meanwhile, Dhanista comes and takes the boga back to offer to Sri Nandanandan, and they have some secret talks, and later Lalita goes into Jatila's room and said there was a snake in the courtyard, it bit Radharani, she's going to die. And Jatila comes, he says, we have to call the snake doctor, and Radharani says, no, you're always talking about me and other men. If some man here comes to touch me, I refuse to let him touch. But this is emergency. If you bring any man here, I will give up my life and die. And now what are we going to do? Is there any woman who knows these mantras for curing snake bites? Because in Braj, when there's snake bite, we don't go to the hospital, we go to the mantra dak. So they said, well, maybe Gargi knows. And they went to Gargi, and she said, I don't know, but my cousin's sister Bijavali, the daughter of Garga Rishi's here. So they go to Gargi's house, and this beautiful blackish gopi is there, Bijavali. And they bring her, and she says, this is a very serious snake bite. I can only chant a mantra that my father taught me that takes 3 hours, so you all have to get out of the room, and then don't come even near the door. So then Radha and Bijavali, you figured out, is actually with Krishna. So they have 3 hours of free time, no one's going to come near them. And after 3 hours, and they hear outside the door, they listen as the snake and Bijavali have a conversation. That the snake says, well, my master Lord Shiva has become offended because Duras Rishi gave a benediction to Radharani to cook for Krishna and go there every day, and this Jatila has stopped it. Therefore he sent this snake to kill Abhimanyu, but not finding him and knowing that Abhimanyu's life is Radharani, I bit Radharani. He said, but can't you take this poison back and save her life? I can, but Jatila has to promise never to stop Radharani to go to cook for Krishna in Nandagam. I promise. So that's the gist of the Leela.
Jai.
There's much more details in the book.
In the book, yes. We encourage everyone to get the book Braj Leela Part 2. It's just pastimes after pastimes. And Prabhuji, where can devotees from across the world get this book? Is it only when you visit?
It's only in Vrindavan or when I'm traveling.
Jai. So you have 3 options. You can get it in Vrindavan, or you can get it from Prabhuji when he's visiting your
Or somebody's
temple.
coming to Vrindavan, you tell them to bring one back.
It's available on Amazon.
And it's available on
Not yet.
Amazon
In the US,
in the United States.
Only in the US it's available on Amazon.
Jai.
One friend is selling it for us. So.
Yes. Highly recommend.
Eventually we'll put it on Amazon, but
Yes.
right now we just published it. So.
Fantastic. Just to finish off, Prabhuji, this morning in the Bhagavatam class, you mentioned, first it's important to understand, first it is important to be a devotee before understanding some of those pastimes like Sri Prahlad or Dhruva Maharaj. What did you mean by that? And what is the advice you give for all the devotees listening for the year?
Well, sometimes we want to jump up to the pastimes of Radha and Krishna, but I quoted Lochan Das Thakur in his Chaitanya Mangala. He talks about how Mahaprabhu heard 100 times Dhruva and Prahlad Maharaj pastimes. So first we have to learn, because we haven't even understood we're not this body yet even.
Yes.
So before we can jump up to the pastimes of Radha and Krishna, we should understand, that we're not this body, we're the servant of Krishna, and that we're meant to satisfy Krishna. Then we can enter into the higher leelas.
That's right. So that's the message for all the devotees for the New Year's message. We're not the body, we are servant of Krishna, and always serve him with our heart and soul. Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for coming to our temple. We hope you're here with us always, and you will be, and we look forward to welcoming you back year after year after year, and if not, we'll see you in Vrindavan as well. So you're always there with us. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.